Welcome
to Film Shapes,
the podcast.
You name it, I've done it. Concreting, plumbing.
Is that you two?
I've done it all.
Well, today we're here to talk about Sorry We Missed You. Hi, Roly, how are you?
Very well.
Good. Now, when we saw this at the Luna in Leaderville last week, I think it was, wasn't it? A nice preview in the big screen there. It was fantastic. This is Ken Loach's newest film, and it mines the same topics as his previous films, especially the last one, I, Daniel Blake. It follows a family trying to stay afloat in this 0 hours or gig economy that the UK is seeing now, not just the UK, many countries. It's showing that the worker is really under the pump, isn't it? And that the employers are taking a lot of rights from the workers. Now, this film stars Chris Hitchen, Debbie Honeywood, Reece Stone, Katie Proctor, and Ross Brewster. He's the proper bastard, representing the management side of things.
He's not that much of a bastard, though.
You think he's got some...
He's a straight talker, you know.
Okay. I don't know.
There's nothing he can do. He doesn't own the company, does he?
No.
He's just working for the man.
But
just
he's
like
the mouthpiece of them.
Yeah.
He's taken their
He's
side.
agreed to do that, yeah.
No, he's a prick. What did you reckon about this film?
Well, first of all, one thing that disturbs me a little, or it's quite revealing to me, is and makes me understand how unqualified I probably am to be in this job with you.
Okay.
Is this guy Ken Loach, supposedly one of the most respected British film directors?
That's right.
I haven't seen any of his film. I don't know who this guy is. I haven't seen any of his films before.
Really?
So maybe for other people like me, who are smart enough not to be doing the podcast, can we go back a little bit on his history?
Yeah, sure. He's always been quite the socialist, so it's always underpinning, I suppose, all of his films. I think he probably first came to prominence with Kes, about a boy and his what is this, peregrine falcon or something that he has. It's pretty good film in the north.
This is when did he start making films?
Oh, this was like 69, I think. This film, Kes, and then he's been pretty active all the way through. He's done a lot of TV and maybe some theatre as well. Let me see, I've got a few of his films here that you might know.
Because I understood that he recently actually retired, or maybe that was a few years ago, and he's come out of retirement to do the film before this maybe, and this one.
Yeah, that sounds about right. Yeah, it was I think his retirement film was supposed to be Jimmy's Hall or something like this. Yeah, and then he came back again for I, Daniel Blake.
Right.
He's done films like Riff. These are films that are very in the same vein as Sorry We Missed You. Riff Raff in 91, Raining Stones 93, Lady Bird 94, Bread and Roses, which I haven't seen, in 2000, My Name is Joe 98, Carla's Song 96, and then of course I, Daniel Blake a couple of years ago. And these are all pretty much dealing with the working classes and their struggles. He has done other things like Land and Freedom and The Wind That Shakes the Barley, about international proletariat issues. I think they're films about the Spanish Civil War.
Yeah, okay.
At least one is, anyway. Hang on. One is about... No, The Wind That Shakes the Barley, I think, is about the Irish issues with the British. Okay. So, yeah, he's always on the side of the little guy.
Well, and respect to him, and, I'm sorry I have not heard or seen any of his films.
He sits. I think he sits alongside Mike Leigh, who's very similar, but makes probably more polished and possibly bigger films. Mike Leigh's the guy that did Peterloo, which we didn't like.
Yes,
that film. Yeah, but he's also done other much better films in his past. They're very similar.
Well, that was the controversial one with Cheeky that we did, wasn't it?
Yes, it was.
I mean, I'm sort of here to represent. Shady is the film critic here.
Oh, thank you.
I'm really here to represent the everyday man that maybe doesn't know as much about films as
Sure, okay.
As people more versed in the subject. But when Cheeky came on to do Peterloo, he kind of stole my spot a little, didn't he?
Yeah, it's a toss-up between you and Cheeky. Who knows more about film?
I thought you were going to say, who knows less about the genre? Oh,
yeah, well...
it's not even a genre film.
I guess it almost is, yeah. Kitchen sink dramas, they used to call them in the 60s, but this is a bit more... I don't know, back garden shed, dirty old sink in the laundry and shed kind of film.
Here we go. I'm going to throw something at you then related to this one, and let's see what your chops really are.
Oh, shit.
Is this verite? Cinema verite?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, why not? I think so.
Why?
Well, that's really what you're saying is cinema, the truth, isn't it? Cinema truth.
Well, so, I'm asking you. You're the expert.
Yeah. If I remember rightly. Shit.
I've got him.
No. I think cinema verite is a French term, anyway. Roly.
He's pretty good. He's good on that one.
But yeah, these are
my understanding. It's realism.
Yeah, that's right.
And
it could. I mean, it could probably. This probably goes back to Vittorio De Sica and Roberto Rossellini, these Italian directors who made things like Rome Open City during the war, and they were shooting while there were Germans in Rome and that kind of stuff.
More documentary style. Yeah.
And yeah, I think it would be. It's almost. Well, can you imagine this as a documentary? Probably.
Oh.
This film.
I imagine if it was a documentary, things wouldn't go quite so pear-shaped. You would be very happy if they did. If this was a film that you were making that was a documentary.
Yeah, gotcha. With all the incidents that occurred in the film.
Yeah, they really pile up on top. I guess it's like... Yeah, and this film does have that feeling about it where you just see that all this shit is going to hit the fan from the very first scene.
Well, but really. you need conflict. I mean, otherwise it would be just quite dull.
No, I'm just pointing out that the viewer is aware of that. It doesn't... Not much necessarily takes you by surprise here.
I was wondering which way they were going to go. Where was the conflict going to appear? And like what... Okay, the story is he's decided to join this parcel delivery company as a franchise. He owns the franchise. Like he's working for them, but not working for them.
He's air quote self-employed.
Self-employed until it doesn't suit the company. Like you can't. You've got to supply your own substitute driver if you can't do it that day. You can't have anybody else in the van with you. All these kind of rules that they put in, even though you're supposed to be owning your own company or running it.
I mean, he should have taken, right at the beginning there, he should have taken the option of hiring the van off them and see if he likes the job first. See what they're like to work for.
Right.
So rather than going out and buying, this is the problem. The audience straight away is going, don't buy a $40,000 van straight away.
It makes sense. To him,
only if you know you're going to be in the job for the next 5 years.
It's a gamble, I suppose, but that says that a lot of people are so desperate they take those risks.
Well, yeah, and people tell themselves these stories about how successful they're going to be in this new endeavour without actually necessarily looking at.
But this is like similar to the I, Daniel Blake film, which I think was probably a little bit better than this, but that. Shows how the system completely overrides any humanity or care, and this one they haven't even got to that stage yet. So they're in the workforce, so to speak. But Daniel Blake was in the social security network, and he was getting shafted equally as these people. So it's bleak. It is very bleak. Showing that like. Modern day England is a fucking horrible place to live and try and make a crust, Yeah. Is it? It's a little spoiler here, but at the end, do you think there was any hope? he's
no
driving off back to work, even though he's...
And I really respect that ending.
Yeah.
And to be able to end a film like that without skipping a beat, I'm totally in favour for. I don't necessarily need it all tied up.
No, but wow, isn't it? It's demoralising, isn't it? Just seeing that final scene. Nobody died. Let's go that far. But it was almost like, fuck. This is the life that they're gonna. It's just continuous misery.
Well, and then do you leave the cinema though, going, well, could be worse. Well, my life's not so bad.
That's actually what you said to me. Like, oh, look, we're here in Perth. It's nothing like that shit, and we're not getting that. But it could.
For some people it is though.
That's right.
I'm not saying it's because of where we are. It's just like looking. It's a film that forces you to look back on yourself and your own situation.
I think it's a warning. I mean, it could get as bad as that here.
Well, I have no doubt for some people it is that bad. I mean, you look at.
What
about Uber drivers?
Yeah, right. I mean, for the majority,
this gig economy is everywhere.
Yeah. For
the majority, will it get? Yeah, I don't know.
Possibly.
I mean, the whole film really speaks to. It's almost a billboard for universal income.
Yeah, sure.
In some ways.
Yep.
A fallback where you actually don't have to accept conditions of a job that are that unreasonable, and give it to the man. I think the best thing that could happen for companies like that is, or for people employed by companies like that, is to have something to fall back on, so they don't have to say yes to the job in the first place.
Right, but that at the moment that would be Social Security, but in England it's not secure. It's barely social.
Well, and here it's not what it used to be back in, as you and I would remember in the 90s, where going on the dole, as they called it, would be that was almost a rite of passage.
Yeah. Yes, that's right.
And before our time,
it was
that was the surfing lifestyle. You went and did that in your panel van for a year or so before you actually got a job. But it didn't mean that everyone on Social Security was a bludger and wanted to do that for the rest of their lives.
No. But that's what the government now wants you to believe.
This is what, the government wants you to believe that if they did that, then no one would want to work ever.
Yes.
And that's so far from the truth. You just need to make it so I don't have to live on the street. I'm still going to be poor.
Yeah. But you could just scrape by. It's not a living wage. I mean, you can just get by.
You've got to be able to scrape by. And I think at the moment that is not the case.
No. Yeah.
Even here. And we've got it pretty good.
Yeah.
And we've got it pretty good with healthcare as well, even though there's problems.
For now. Do you reckon this is poverty porn?
No.
This film?
No, I don't think it's poverty porn. I mean,
your face has gone funny.
Poverty porn would be like paying, like that bum fights show where they paid
what?
They paid bums on the street to fight each other.
Ah, okay. No, I mean the depiction. Oh, I mean the
you can't get that image out.
I mean, like the depiction of the poor folk, the people struggling. It seems to me that it's not. It's because they look reasonably comfortable. They've got a house. They're paying rent.
They've got family.
They've got friends around. It reminds me a little bit of the Pulp song, "Common People."
I'm surprised that wasn't part of the soundtrack, really.
Not enough money for that. Couldn't afford Pulp. No, I think it's pretty. Like it's stripped back and it's northerly, earthy. Is that even can I even use that? No. I mean, it's Newcastle, so all the accents are quite thick for us, aren't they? Did you have any trouble following some of them?
No.
Okay, that's good. There's a bit of football talk in it, I suppose, isn't there? And
well, that would be. You would latch on to that.
I enjoyed that, but I think he's from Manchester, isn't he? Old Loach, because he did a film called Looking for Eric with Eric Cantona in it for a little bit.
Not heard.
No, that's okay. There you go. Now you were talking about the actors.
Yeah, I wanted to bring that up.
Sure.
What did you think? And I know he's well known for not using well-known actors. Mm-hmm. He's well known for not using well-known actors.
Gotcha.
But I thought some of the performances in this, not the performances, but some of the choices made by either the director or the editor. It felt like sometimes the actors just fluffed their lines and he left it in. And I found that element a bit distracting from the story because I was, you know, and I'm probably analysing a bit too much when I'm watching it. Can't help that though. When someone fluffs their lines in like you just in a fictional, in a non sort of documentary style setting, then it's a distraction.
So you reckon he just let it go? Well, there you go with the verite, I suppose. Yeah. Yeah,
and I felt like, maybe you could have. I know she walked across the street and, you know, went in and out a few doors, and that was a fairly long shot, and she did it close to the end of the shot where she just sort of, you know, stumbled a bit.
Okay.
But
you think they were a bit lazy?
Did they shoot it again? Or did they just not shoot anything twice? I don't know.
Maybe that's what he was after. Don't worry, if you fluff your lines, it's natural. Everybody does it. So.
Well, look, that would be the only thing I would really question about the film, I guess. I thought it was a really quite a sensitively made film in a lot of ways. It was.
I mean, I looked at some of the actors' past credits, and only a couple of them have done lots of work. So I think Chris Hitchens, the lead, the father in the family, has done a bit of work. Ross Brewster as well, but the kids hadn't done anything.
Which one's Ross Brewster?
He's the nasty bastard in the parcel delivery place.
Yeah, see, I still feel like sticking up for him a bit because
really?
I think he, him as a character,
Oh, he played it well, but he's a prick.
Yeah, but there's
Ross.
a situation where he has to be a prick in order to do that job. He's just doing what the other guys would probably want to do if they could get that job.
Yeah, but
he's making the most. He's got the same problems as everyone else.
That's as he's saying. But that's the system then, not him.
Yeah,
I'm
saying that's the system. It's not.
But he could be nicer about it. He's playing up the fact that he's the.
How can you be nice when you're telling someone it doesn't matter if your kid could be going to jail? You know, you have to find someone else for your shift. How can you do that nicely?
Oh, yeah, okay.
You know, it's hard, it's a difficult.
But he plays up the fact that he is the number one nasty bastard. There should be a statue of him, you know, patron saint of nasty pricks or whatever he said. Yeah,
I think he's definitely makes he's a formidable archetype of the nasty bastard at the workplace.
Yeah.
But I still feel like, there could have. But maybe that's the good thing about that performance was that I still felt there was a heart in there somewhere.
Okay. Not me so much.
Yeah. Okay.
But it was well played. Sometimes funny as well. Very deadpan humour there though. I think the parents. I think the daughter was my standout actually, even though she's not done much before. But she came across really.
No, she was good.
Like emotionally mature for her age. The young lad was a little bit mumbly, and I suppose that's all teenage boys in the north, I guess. But he was all right. But I think the daughter was great. The parents were great as well. So I think the acting was very naturalistic and it felt very honest. I think
verite,
very verite. Something's caught in my throat. Very verite. And I just want to mention the people that worked with Loach again. Like Paul Laverty always writes pretty much for Loach, almost primarily for him. Robbie Ryan, the cinematographer, he's done some other good things, and a couple with Ken Loach. Jonathan Morris edits as well. So they seem to have a pretty solid crew that they always work with. Some of the actors return, I think, in the past. Robert Carlyle's been in a couple. Peter Mullen, I think, as well. So he likes to keep the people that he knows and trusts around him, I think, which is a good way to create that environment. Yeah. So, is this going to do anything for modern Britain, this film? Is it going to affect the upcoming election?
Probably about as much as signing a petition on Facebook.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So fuck all.
Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, not much. I mean,
you don't know what things may bounce off each other in the real world, but
you may say though that if things were ideal, like this guy lived and worked through Thatcher and John Major and all those pricks, and he's made some good films during those eras of horrible politics. If everything was ideal, maybe he wouldn't have made films.
Have no reason to, by the sounds of it.
Sounds of it, yeah.
For the type of films he's obviously fond of making, I think...
I suppose he'd go and find he'd go overseas to find, injustice. But he has done a couple of times, yeah. Anyway, I kind of enjoyed that. I mean, not enjoyed, you can't say enjoyed, can you? I got something out of it. I don't think it was fun.
Yeah, no, I would agree.
Yeah,
it's almost a humbling experience to watch this film.
Yeah. But well worth it, I'd say. Anyway,
especially when you got in for free. Thanks for that.
That's all right. Yeah, thank you, Luna. All right. Well, see you next time, Rolly. Bye.
See ya.
This is where it's at. Vindaloo. Got to be hard to take this stuff. Do you know what I mean? So, all right then. Rock with now.